Hello everybody. Welcome back to GH Spoilers channel. Today, we will learn about the issue that has caused a whirlwind of emotions and turmoil in Port Charles. The long-awaited custody battle for Wiley and Amelia has come to a dramatic and devastating conclusion, and the ripple effects will change the lives of Michael Corinthos, Willow Tate, and Drew Cain forever. What began as a deeply personal legal struggle has now led to the unraveling of relationships, the shattering of trust, and a profound sense of loss for those involved. The custody case had been a bitter and emotionally charged war from the start, with Michael and Willow both fiercely determined to prove that they were the better parent for their children. Michael, having already endured a difficult and painful separation from Willow, had fought tooth and nail to ensure that Wiley and Amelia could be raised in a stable, loving environment where they would have the emotional security and care that they deserved. Willow, on the other hand, had always believed that she could give her children the love and protection they needed, despite the mistakes and missteps of her past. For weeks, the courtroom had been a battleground, with each side presenting their case, witnesses testifying, and emotional stakes rising with every passing day. Michael's love for his children was evident to anyone who knew him, and his commitment to raising them in the best possible environment was clear. Willow, however, had become increasingly consumed by her desire to keep her children at all costs, even if it meant making choices that were not always in their best interest. Throughout the case, Drew Cain had been by Willow's side, promising to support her and help her win the custody of Wiley and Amelia. Drew's presence in Willow's life had become more than just a supportive partner, had become her anchor, the one person she believed she could rely on. But Drew's involvement in the custody case had come with its own set of complications. His actions had caused a rift between him and Michael, and his influence on Willow had led her to make some questionable decisions. Despite his promises, Drew ultimately failed to help Willow secure custody of the children, and that failure would have a lasting impact on their relationship. When the final verdict was announced in court, it was clear that Michael had won. He had been granted full custody of Wiley and Amelia, a decision that sent shockwaves through the room. For Willow, it felt like a crushing blow. She had fought so hard, invested so much emotionally, and sacrificed so much for a chance at being with her children. Yet in the end, Michael's unwavering commitment and the emotional stability he could offer proved to be the deciding factors. Willow, devastated by the loss, could hardly comprehend the reality of what had just transpired. In the immediate aftermath of the ruling, Willow was overwhelmed by the sheer weight of the decision. She couldn't process it. The emotional toll was too much, and in that moment, her body physically reacted to the shock. Willow fainted in the courtroom, collapsing to the floor. The scene was heartbreaking. Michael rushed to her side, but the moment was so raw that even he was momentarily frozen by the sight of Willow's pain. Carly, who had been by Michael's side throughout the trial, stepped in to help, but the devastation in the room was palpable. When Willow regained consciousness, her first instinct was to blame Drew. She turned on him, her anger and betrayal surfacing in a furious outburst. Drew had promised to help her win, to help her secure her children's future, but he had failed. Worse, Drew was the one who had driven a wedge between her and Michael in the first place. The affair that had occurred while Michael was recovering in Germany was the catalyst that set this entire chain of events into motion. Now, Willow saw Drew as the root of her downfall. Her heartbreak over losing her children and the failed promises of Drew were too much for her to bear. In a moment of clarity, Willow realized that loving Drew had been a mistake. She had been blinded by her feelings for him, and in doing so, she had compromised everything that truly mattered. She had pushed Michael away, torn apart her family, and now she was left with nothing. Drew, despite his reassurances and his presence during the custody battle, had ultimately failed her when she needed him the most. Her pain and anger boiled over, and she made the difficult decision to end things with him. Willow confronted Drew, her voice trembling with emotion, but firm in her decision. She told him that their relationship was over, and that she no longer wanted to be a part of his life. She refused to go with him to Washington, as he had once hoped. Willow had made up her mind. She needed a fresh start, away from the mistakes and the broken promises. She was going to leave Port Charles, move to a new city, and try to rebuild her life from scratch. Drew was deeply hurt by Willow's decision. He had cared for her and had hoped that they could have a future together. He had promised her that they would be a family, that they would raise her children, and build something lasting. But Willow's words shattered that dream. Drew, though heartbroken, understood why she was doing this. He knew that he had failed her in more ways than one, and he couldn't ask her to stay when her heart was no longer in it. In the days that followed, Drew tried to process the loss of both Willow and the life he had imagined with her. He had come to Port Charles to make a fresh start, to prove himself, and to fight for what he believed in. But now, he was left with the realization that his actions had destroyed everything he had worked for. His relationship with Willow was beyond repair, and his hopes for a future with her were gone. Drew also faced the reality that his involvement in the custody case had caused irreparable damage to his relationships with Michael and others around him. He had no one to turn to, no place to call home, and the weight of his mistakes hung heavily on him. Willow, for her part, was also struggling with the aftermath of her decision. She had lost her children, her relationship with Drew, and the hope of ever reconciling with Michael. Despite her resolve to leave Port Charles and start anew, she couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness that consumed her. She had pushed everyone away in her pursuit of a future with Drew, and now she was alone. Willow's heart was broken, and no amount of distance or time could heal the wound she had created. For Michael, the aftermath of the custody battle was bittersweet. He had won the right to raise Wiley and Amelia, but the victory felt hollow. He had always wanted a family with Willow, and now that dream was shattered. He knew that he couldn't force Willow to stay, but the pain of seeing her leave was almost too much to bear. Michael was left to pick up the pieces of his broken family, with only the love of his children to keep him going. As Willow prepares to leave Port Charles, the town is left to pick up the pieces of the emotional wreckage caused by the custody battle. Drew, Willow, and Michael are all left with the consequences of their actions, their choices, and the lies that led them down this painful path. The future is uncertain for all of them, but one thing is clear: their lives will never be the same. Next, we will learn about a heart-wrenching storyline unfolding on General Hospital that has fans on the edge of their seats. Dan Falcone's battle with betrayal and grief as he uncovers a shocking secret involving his close friend Harrison Chase and Brooklyn Quartermain. This explosive revelation, centered around the identity of Giovanni Joe Palmieri as Brooklyn and Dante's long-lost son, has shattered trust and threatens to tear apart friendships and family ties in Port Charles. In this expanded article, we'll dive deep into the emotional turmoil, reimagine key moments with creative flair, and introduce fresh details to enrich the narrative while staying true to the core drama. Join us as we explore the fractured bonds, hidden truths, and potential paths to healing in this gripping GH saga. Let's begin with the devastating bombshell that has rocked Dante Falconeri to his core. A secret so profound it has left him questioning everything he thought he knew about loyalty and friendship. Dante, a steadfast detective with the Port Charles Police Department, recently learned that Brooklyn Quartermain, a woman from his past, had a child years ago, Gio Palmieri, who is now revealed to be their son. What stings even more is that Harrison Chase, Dante's trusted partner on the force and Brooklyn's devoted husband, was aware of her hidden pregnancy yet chose to keep it under wraps. Even as Joe unknowingly lived among them. Picture Dante's face as the truth unravels, his jaw tightening with a mix of hurt and disbelief, the weight of betrayal settling into his chest like a stone. This isn't just a professional slight, it's deeply personal, cutting through the bond he shared with Chase over countless late-night stakeouts and shared victories. As Dante wrestles with this alongside the raw grief of losing Sam McCall, his emotional reserves are stretched thin, leaving fans wondering if forgiveness is even possible. The moment of revelation was nothing short of cinematic, erupting during the glitz and glamour of the nurses' ball, where secrets in Port Charles often come to light under the dazzling chandeliers. It was Lula Spencer, with her knack for digging into hidden corners, who unearthed the staggering truth, leaving Dante blindsided as the pieces fell into place before a stunned crowd. Imagine the murmur of the audience fading into a deafening silence as Dante's eyes lock with Chase's across the room, the unspoken question of "how could you?" hanging heavy in the air. Learning that Chase withheld this life-altering information possibly to shield Brooklyn from the chaos her past could unleash feels like a dagger to Dante. The pain is compounded by his new role as a father to Joe, our relationship already fraught with mysteries and unspoken regrets. Will Dante confront Chase in a raw, emotional showdown at the PCPD locker room, his voice breaking as he demands to know why his friend kept him in the dark? With family patriarch Sonny Corinthos pushing for unity among the Falconeri clan, Dante's simmering anger might clash with the call for peace, testing the very foundation of their bond. Now, let's shift focus to Harrison Chase, a man caught in an impossible bind between love and loyalty, whose silence has sparked this firestorm. Chase, ever the protector, prioritized his commitment to Brooklyn, honoring her trust even at the cost of his friendship with Dante. To be fair, neither he nor Brooklyn knew Joe was their adopted child until the nurse's ball, a revelation orchestrated by decades of deception from Lois Trullo, who buried the truth to protect her daughter's future. Envision Chase in a quiet moment at home, staring at a photo of him and Brooklyn on their wedding day, his heart heavy with the burden of a choice he never wanted to make. When the truth exploded, Chase found himself on the defensive, his explanations faltering under Dante's piercing gaze. Fans on social media have been vocal, with some arguing that Dante's expectations are unfair. We should Chase betray his wife for a work partner, even a close one. Yet, as Chase attempts to rebuild the bridge with Dante, perhaps over a somber coffee at Charlie's pub, will his genuine remorse be enough to salvage their camaraderie, or has the damage cut too deep? Brooklyn Quartermain's role in this tangled web adds another layer of complexity, her own shock and pain mirroring Dante's as she grapples with the reality of Gio's identity. Unaware for years that the young man in her orbit was her biological son, Brooklyn lived with the quiet ache of a decision made long ago to give up her child for adoption. Picture her in a tearful moment at the Quartermain mansion, tracing her fingers over old letters she wrote but never sent to the baby she lost, her world upended by Lewis's long-kept secret. Her relationship with Dante, once marked by youthful passion and unspoken history, now carries the weight of shared parenthood and missed opportunities. As she stands by Chase's side, torn between defending his silence and reaching out to Dante to co-parent Joe, Brooklyn faces an emotional crossroads. Will she become the mediator in this conflict, hosting a tense family meeting in the Quartermain living room, or will her own guilt over the past widen the rift? The ripple effects of this betrayal threaten to reshape not just personal dynamics, but the very fabric of Port Charles, especially within the tight-knit circles of the PCPD and the Quartermain and Falconeri families. Dante and Chase, once brothers in blue who tackled danger side by side, now stand on opposite sides of an emotional battlefield, their partnership strained by a secret neither saw coming. Imagine the tension at the precinct, where colleagues like Jordan Ashford pick up on the frosty exchanges, whispering about whether a woman from their past could truly dismantle years of trust. Adding fuel to the fire is Dante's own hidden historia too, withheld the truth from Chase about his deeper involvement with Brooklyn all those years ago. A fact that could resurface to complicate his righteous anger. Could this shared hypocrisy become a bridge to reconciliation, or will it only deepen the wounds? At the heart of this storm is young Joe Palmieri, the innocent catalyst whose very existence has turned lives upside down. As Dante steps into fatherhood with a mix of wonder and uncertainty, and Brooklyn grapples with the maternal bond she never knew she had, Joe remains the potential key to healing her the ultimate loss if bitterness prevails. Visualize a poignant scene at the park, Joe kicking a soccer ball while Dante and Brooklyn watch from a distance, their shared glances filled with unspoken questions about how to move forward. Will Gio's presence inspire Dante to see Chase's dilemma through a lens of compassion, recognizing the impossible choice between spouse and friend? Or will the weight of betrayal overshadow the chance for a united family, leaving Joe caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts he cannot comprehend? Next, we will learn about the captivating possibility of a brotherly connection forming between Rocco Falconeri and Giovanni Joe Palmieri on General Hospital. A storyline brimming with emotional depth and family complexity, as the stunning revelation unfolds that Joe is Dante Falconeri's son, whom Brooklyn Quartermain gave up for adoption years ago. The focus shifts to whether these two half-siblings can bridge their personal struggles to build a meaningful bond. With Rocco reeling from family turmoil and Joe grappling with an identity crisis, their journey toward brotherhood is fraught with challenges. In this expanded exploration, we'll creatively rephrase the core narrative, introduce new details to enrich each segment, and paint vivid scenes to bring their story to life, all while staying true to the original themes of connection and conflict. Let's dive into this heartfelt saga of family, pain, and potential unity in Port Charles. Let's kick things off with the seismic shift in the Falconeri family dynamic that has set the stage for Rocco and Gio's potential relationship. The news that Joe Palmieri, a young man navigating his own path, is actually Dante's long-lost son with Brooklyn has sent shockwaves through Port Charles, especially for Rocco, Dante's other son, who has endured more than his share of heartache. Speculation is rife that the two half-brothers will soon spend time together, perhaps nudged by family members eager to see them connect. But the road to brotherhood is paved with obstacles. Rocco carries emotional baggage from recent upheavals, while Joe wrestles with the bombshell of his adoption and true lineage. Picture a quiet moment at the Falconeri home, Rocco staring out the window as he contemplates meeting Joe, his mind racing with questions. Will this new brother understand his pain? Or will their differences create an impassable chasm? Fans are buzzing with curiosity. Can these two young men find common ground as siblings, or will their personal battles keep them at arm's length? Rocco Falconeri's life has been nothing short of a storm lately, and the arrival of a half-brother might feel like yet another gust threatening to knock him off balance. With his mother, Lula Spencer, trapped in a coma for years, the tragic loss of Sam McCall, who was a maternal figure in his life, and now the sudden introduction of Joe, Rocco's world feels like it's spinning out of control. Add to that a recent scare involving alcohol poisoning at a college party, a cry for help, or a reckless escape from his pain, and it's clear this young man is vulnerable. Imagine Rocco sitting alone in his room, headphones on, music blaring to drown out the chaos, as he wrestles with how to approach Joe. Will he see this new sibling as another disruption, a reminder of fractured family ties, or as a potential confidant who might share his sense of loss? If they do start hanging out, perhaps at a local diner over milkshakes, Rocco's guarded nature might initially stifle any warmth, his walls built high to protect a bruised heart. Yet, there's hope. Could Gio's fresh perspective or unexpected kindness crack through Rocco's defenses, or will Rocco's reticence prevent any real connection? On the other side of this delicate equation is Joe Palmieri, a young man thrust into an identity crisis that has left him questioning everything he thought he knew about himself. The shocking truth of his adoption, hidden for years by Lois Trullo to shield Brooklyn from past pain, has left Joe grappling with feelings of betrayal and confusion. He mourns his late adoptive mother, who raised him with love, while wrestling with the decision Brooklyn made to give him a choice he struggles to comprehend. Visualize Joe walking along the Port Charles pier at dusk, hands shoved deep in his pockets, staring at the water as he ponders whether he can ever truly fit into the Falconeri or Quartermain families. His demeanor may come across as unapproachable, a shield against potential rejection, but beneath that facade lies a yearning for connection. Could reaching out to Rocco, perhaps through a shared interest like music, say, jamming together, or guitar riffs in a garage, become his way of navigating this mess? Or will Joe pull back if Rocco seems distant, fearing yet another emotional blow in a life already marked by uncertainty? The potential for Rocco and Joe to bond as brothers hinges heavily on their ability to navigate the tangled web of family dynamics swirling around them in Port Charles. Dante and Brooklyn, both desperate to forge a relationship with Joe after years apart, might gently or not so gently encourage the boys to spend time together, hoping it will pave the way for healing. However, other forces could complicate matters, such as Harrison Chase's protective unease over Brooklyn's emotional state or the looming shadow of Lulu's condition, which adds a layer of unresolved grief to the Falconeri household. Envision a vibrant summer event, like a sprawling Quartermain picnic at their estate, where picnic blankets dot the lawn and laughter fills the air. It could be the perfect testing ground for Rocco and Joe. Maybe they find themselves paired up for a playful game of tug-of-war, sharing a fleeting grin that hints at camaraderie. But if Rocco's buried pain surfaces in a quiet moment, or if Gio's uncertainty makes him bristle at forced family bonding, the distance between them might widen. Will shared experiences spark the seeds of brotherhood, or will their individual struggles keep them orbiting as strangers? Another intriguing angle to consider is the role Rocco might play as a bridge between Joe and their shared father, Dante, as well as Brooklyn, who are both aching to connect with the son they never knew. Gio's anger toward his biological parents for the years of separation is palpable, a simmering resentment that could make him resistant to their outreach. Here, Rocco, despite his own challenges, might find himself in a unique position to mediate, drawing on his own experiences of navigating Dante's complex life. Picture a heartfelt scene at Kelly's diner, where Rocco tentatively broaches the subject with Gio over a plate of fries, sharing a story about a time Dante stood by him during a rough patch, hoping to soften Gio's hardened stance. But this role might come with pressure. Will Dante and Brooklyn lean on Rocco to be their foot in the door, placing an unfair burden on a young man already struggling with his own demons? If Gio senses any manipulation, even well-intentioned, it could backfire, driving a wedge deeper between the brothers. The question remains, can Rocco balance his own needs with the weight of family expectations, or will this added strain fracture any budding bond? The emotional tapestry of Rocco and Gio's potential relationship is further colored by the broader context of Port Charles, a town where family ties are as much a source of strength as they are of conflict. Both young men carry the legacies of the Falconeri and Quartermain families, each with their own histories of drama, loss, and redemption. Imagine a quiet moment in the Quartermain library, where Rocco stumbles upon an old photo album and shows Gio pictures of family gatherings he never knew about. A bittersweet glimpse into a shared heritage. Such moments could be stepping stones to understanding, or they could underscore how much time they've lost, intensifying Gio's grief and Rocco's sense of instability. Will they find solace in uncovering shared roots, perhaps bonding over tales of Sonny Corinthus's legendary antics or Monica Quartermain's quiet strength? Or will the weight of their family's past keep them locked in separate emotional silos? The path to brotherhood is uncharted, and every interaction is a gamble. As we watch this poignant storyline unfold on General Hospital, the question of whether Rocco Falconeri and Giovanni Palmieri can forge a lasting brotherly bond remains tantalizingly unanswered. Rocco's vulnerability, shaped by loss and personal missteps, clashes with Gio's identity crisis and lingering resentment, creating a dynamic rich with potential for both connection and conflict. Their journey, influenced by the push and pull of family expectations and personal pain, promises to be a roller coaster of emotion for fans. Will a shared laugh at a summer picnic or a late-night conversation about their father's flaws be the key to unity? Or will their differences prove too vast to overcome? And if they do come together, can Rocco truly be the bridge that helps Gio accept Dante and Brooklyn, or will external pressures derail their progress? Stay tuned to ABC General Hospital Spoilers channel for more updates as we follow every twist and turn of this compelling family saga. What do you think? Can these half-brothers find their way to each other? Let us know in the comments.